This podcast contains explicit and politically incorrect content.
Welcome to Tales of a New York limo driver, sex, excess, and stupidity on four wheels, based on the best-selling book by Nikki Testaforti. Come along for over 100 stories that range from idiotic to friggin' unbelievable. Buckle up, kids, and enjoy the ride. Airbags, seatbelts, and accidents. I see a whole lot of you out there with your sweaty white-knuckle fist at 11 and 1 o'clock on the steering wheel, sitting so close it looks like it's in your lap. I was in a defensive driving course with a woman who drove like that. She got into an accident, her airbag deployed, threw her arms into her face, and broke bones in her arms and face. Think you can pull yours out of the way in time? I don't think so. Get into a front-end collision going as slow as 8 to 14 miles per hour, and your airbag will deploy at speeds up to 300 miles per hour with pressures up to 6,000 pounds per square inch. Still think you can react in time? It may look like a pillow, but it ain't soft or gentle. Imagine what would happen if you had a cigarette or lollipop in your mouth at those speeds. If you drive with both hands in that position, chances are that you're sitting too close to the wheel anyway. Practitioners of the Sicilian slouch need not concern themselves with this warning because their bodies are already reclined and relaxed. Clients without seatbelts. Story number 1. A bottom feeder driver in old Lincoln town car is ripping along one night in a heavy downpour going 75 miles an hour. The bottom feeder goes over a bridge and with little time to react, slams into the stopped traffic on the other side of the bridge. The passenger number 1, sitting behind the driver, was asleep. Upon impact, he flew forward and crushed the driver against the steering wheel. Passenger number 2, in the right rear seat, was reading the paper. He slammed into the front seat, went through the windshield, and was ejected from the car. The result? Passenger number 1 sustained many broken bones and internal injuries. Passenger number 2 was DOA, and the driver became a quadriplegic. Story number 3. Similar situation, but this time the passenger was lying down sound asleep across the back seat. Upon impact, he rolled down into the footwells and is now paralyzed from the neck down. Picture any 200-pound object shot from a cannon at 75 miles an hour and hitting a stationary target. That's what all those guys dealt with. Story number 3. At about 2 a.m., after a very long day, I was coming back towards the office after finishing a stretch job. The dispatcher told me to head up Interstate 95, where there was an accident involving another company's stretch. He needed me to pick up the remaining passengers who hadn't already been transported in the ambulance. I get to the scene of the accident and the state troopers are waving me over. Seems as though the stretch rear-ended the car in front of them and a truck rear-ended the stretch. The left rear side of the stretch was pushed up as the truck hit it from an angle, so the passengers got knocked one way and then the other with each impact. There were a total of 8 passengers without seatbelts in the stretch. Add in projectiles like champagne bottles, glassware, and anything else that wasn't tied down, and you can imagine what it was like in there. The people who were taken away in the ambulance had lacerations and head injuries, mostly from banging into each other and being in the line of fire from flying debris. The folks I took home had minor concussions and were very shaken up. I still want to ride in a vehicle without your seatbelts on? I didn't think so. And while we're on the subject of accidents, here's a couple of stories that would have had a different ending if fates hadn't intervened. Like a pig on ice, I was heading back into the city after a drop in Westchester County and getting on the ramp to the Hutchinson River Parkway southbound. People fly through this section like downhill racers. As I was coming down the ramp, I looked into the side view mirror, and all of a sudden, the back of the car came around after hitting something slippery. I lost track of how many 360s I did across those 3 lanes, but when the car finally stopped spinning, I was facing northbound on the southbound left side shoulder, 6 inches away from the Jersey barrier. I looked up and there was a stopped line of cars watching me do my four-wheel figure skating impression. I was hoping for at least a 9 for not hitting anybody or doing any damage to the car, but sadly, no scores came from the judges. If the road was filled with the normal amount of traffic, that would have been at least a 10 to 15 car pileup, which is a great segue to the next story. The 40 car pileup. I'm working for a company that has 3 black stretches and 1 white stretch. The white one only goes out on weddings, no exceptions. Well, here's an exception. As I'm bringing clients back from the airport at one of the black stretches, the opera lights, those long and thin lights you see on the side of stretches, will go out. Now, during the daytime, that wouldn't bother me, but it's late, it's dark, and I don't want some knucklehead T-boning me because a fuse blew and he couldn't see a long black car in the dark. I drop the clients off and ride carefully back to the shop with my 4-way flashes on. Knowing that I have a pickup in Newark, I call in and tell them the situation and ask that they prep the other stretch so it's ready to go. They tell me the bosses are out, so they ask me to call back while they run the quandary up the flagpole so the committee can vote on it. Just as they call me back, I'm pulling in and I see the white stretch prepped and ready to go. It's now about 8:30 p.m. and I throw my stuff in the other car and head down to Newark for the next run. As I'm coming across the George Washington Bridge, a light rain starts falling, and I look down, and the thermometer says 32 degrees. Uh-oh, I back it down a little, and just as I'm coming up to the crest of a rise with a downward bend to it, I see a line of stopped traffic that looks like it hit black ice on a long overpass that's coming up. But with only a second to react, I grab the wheel with both hands, both feet are on the brakes, and my ass is off the seat. The stretch is sliding diagonally and heading for a stopped Honda Accord with a family of 4 in it. As I'm saying my oh shits and the adrenaline is coursing through my body, time starts moving very slowly. And I see the guy to my left whose minivan just slammed into and under a tractor trailer that was stopped in front of him. He's frantically trying to get his seatbelt off because another tractor trailer is about to pancake the back of his van. He gets out in time, but he's in shock and starts running across the highway while cars are still crashing behind us. And when I finally came to a stop, I was less than a foot away from the Honda. The car behind me turned the wheel to the right, and the one behind him pushed him into the Jersey barrier. I could still hear a few crashes behind me, but eventually, everything became eerily quiet. I got out to check the stretch and then checked on the people around me. Nobody was hurt except for the passenger who was in the minivan wedged under the trailer. I got back in the car and called the dispatcher to let him know the situation, and who did I get but the same jackoff, and told me there was an apartment building in an industrial area. I'm in the middle of a major pileup, and from the looks of it, I can't tell you how long it's going to be before I'm out of here. Does he ask if I'm okay? And nope. Did you do any damage to the car? Nah, car's fine. Thanks for asking if I'm okay. Let me know when you start moving. Yeah, right. You'll be in bed by then. It starts snowing, and I'm wondering when the earthquake, floods, and locusts are gonna come. I ran the car for a while to thaw out my body while I kicked myself for not grabbing something to eat before I left. The shit for brains dispatcher is calling me every few minutes, asking me if I'm moving yet and how long do I think it's going to be. But this guy, while he's sitting in a warm office, doesn't get the detailed picture I painted for him. He's more concerned about the clients waiting in Newark for a stretch that just ain't coming tonight. After about 3 hours, emergency personnel are starting to make their way to us on the local lanes to our right. The incline road is so slippery that the vehicles are sliding sideways and the responders are falling like bowling pins. To extricate the passenger in the minivan, they have to raise the back of the trailer with timber and then cut her out. And just before they attempt to raise it, a fireman pops his head into the back of the stretch and says, "Hey buddy, you gotta get out, because if this trailer tips over, you and your limo are toast. Let's go, now." I don't need to be told twice, so I get out and skate my way over to the guardrail to freeze my ass off and watch them work. They raised a minivan with enough wood to start a bonfire that could be seen for miles and finally got her out and into a waiting ambulance. They gave the all clear and I got back in the stretch so I could defrost myself. It took another hour before they got up to my area to triage the vehicles that were damaged and release those of us who could move under our own power. As I weaved my way through over 2 miles of wreckage, I wondered how many people got hurt and if anybody was killed in this mess. I checked the papers the next day and the story only merited 2 column inches. Sadly, one person was killed. After his car crashed, he got out, and to avoid getting hit by the car coming at him, he jumped out of the way and landed on the roadway below. That's enough of this. How'd you like those stories? If you did, please comment, subscribe, and spread the word. I'd really appreciate it. Until next time, take care and have a good one.
This podcast is a production of Testa 40 Studios, and no content may be repurposed without express written consent.